Vegeta is anxious to find a good match. He had hoped that Gohan would keep up with his training, but so far it seemed he was only doing light work. One day, when he visited to babysit Trunks, Vegeta pulled him aside.
I want you to train, Gohan. Not for this planet or anything like that, but to find what it means to be a Saiyan, to reach further heights.
That's just not something I want, Vegeta.
Have it your way. Stay a weakling.
Vegeta stormed off. A few days later, when Gohan was coming back from Master Roshi's, he found Vegeta waiting for him at his house. He hoped that it wasn't another speech about training, and it wasn't. Instead, Vegeta gave him a capsule and flew away, only telling him to open it outside. Gohan was curious and opened it. To his surprise, it was a capsule building with just one room, the gravity chamber. It was obvious that Vegeta would not give up anytime soon. Maybe he should listen to the prince. It has been 6 years since the defeat of Cell, and Gohan is getting ready to take his exams and enter into Orange Star High School. With the help of Bulma, he has managed to get his own, smaller version of the gravity chamber. In this chamber, Gohan works out against training bots and himself, while the computer reads out text materials and quizzes him on math, science, and other subjects. In a sense, he's working out both his mind and his body. But one day, when he was taking a shower after his workout, Chi-Chi heard a knock on the door. When she opened it, her skin went pale. A short man and a tall one stood in front of her. The short one smiled brightly. She didn't know why, but she felt an incredible warmth coming from them. A powerful aura.
Hello, Miss Chi-Chi, is it? We'd like to have a word with your son, if you will.
Chi-Chi called out to her son, and quickly, a short kid with spiky hair ran in.
I must admit, I expected you to be a little taller.
Hey, you're one to talk.
Why, you little...
It's all right, Kibito. Now come with me. We have a lot to talk about.
The strange man hopped up to the sky, but turned back and tilted his head.
Why are you not following us?
Hey, no fair. I can't fly.
It was then when the older brother, Gohan, stepped in. He looked stern and powerful.
Who are you? What do you want with Goten? Goten? Isn't that Gohan? I'm Gohan. Son Gohan.
Kibito couldn't contain his laughter and nearly tumbled to the ground. The annoyed Kaioshin introduced himself, the god above gods. Gohan didn't believe him, but once Shin communicated with him telepathically, he had no choice. Shin explained that he knew of him and his father's misadventures, and that their group was responsible for defeating Frieza. Kaioshin had noticed the great power that Gohan held, maybe even above Goku's, and proposed that he could be trained in the holy world of the Kais. They warned of an evil more powerful than anything they had ever faced. Chi-Chi stepped right in and refused.
You think you can just come in here and take my darling Gohan just as he's about to start school? I don't care if you're a Supreme Branded Kai or whatever, he is staying and studying!
Mom, I've been able to keep up with my studying since Dad died. I'm sure I could maybe go to school in the morning and come train at night? Or on the weekends? You'd have to read me my textbook as I train, Mr. Kibito.
No matter, how difficult could human mathematics be?
Chi-Chi thought long and hard about it, but agreed. She made them promise not to bother Gohan if he had a test, and that he could get breaks. And thus, Gohan became an apprentice to the Kaioshin, training in the afternoon while going to take his tests in the morning. He'd probably still do his Golden Warrior stuff, making Videl suspicious when they met. When school proper began, he had to cut down on training a little. He does have a little time for superheroics, but he sticks to the Golden Warrior style. Before it's impossible to hide, he probably wouldn't really have time for the Great Saiyaman shtick. So I think we need to set this up a little more. As you may recall, in the manga of Dragon Ball Super, Trunks was contacted by the Kaioshin to prepare him in the fight against Buu. In a sense, this is also what if Kaioshin visited Gohan like they did Trunks, just as much as it is what if Gohan trained seriously. Either way, it was Gohan's training that pushed him to find him earlier. In a twist of fate, Gohan's power is growing so much that his ki was felt across planets. Since the Kaioshin realm was accessible from the other world, a certain someone feels Gohan's ki during the harsh training sessions, and Gohan is surprised when he appears.
That massive power! Who are you? Dad? I can't believe it! That power, I couldn't even recognize you!
Goku and Gohan reunited with a great hug and caught each other up on everything. Shin was willing to let Goku stay as long as he sparred with Gohan. Goku wanted to test the Sea Sword out, but Gohan had grown to respect the blade. It was important to him, and part of his daily routine. He knew that it wouldn't be a good idea to do something like that. What he did accept was a match against his father. The two pushed each other hard, but not even Super Saiyan 2 Goku could match Gohan's power.
You've made me proud, son. Let me show you something I've been saving for an opportunity like this!
Goku transformed into his brand new Super Saiyan 3, much to the Kai's chagrin as their planet shook. Goku rushed in to attack, but Gohan cut the punch. Goku's eyes widened as Gohan burst into Super Saiyan 2. Goku couldn't believe it, but Gohan's power was nearing Goku's Super Saiyan 3 in a lower form. The two continued to train and battle for a while, and they both kept getting stronger and stronger. This made Gohan realize just how important it was to keep up with his training. At first, he was just doing this to protect the planet, but now he realized that even in his death, his father trained. Gohan had so much academia to tend to. Perhaps Gohan wasn't limited to just one thing or the other. He could do it all. And with that in his mind, Gohan thought of something great. A book, The Science of Ki Control. A research surely no one else had done. Every day through training, Gohan would take breaks to jot down notes. And even during his routines, he'd tell Kibito to write something down, or even Goku. He was excited about this new venture, and it was even more reason to explore his limits. The first thing he wrote down was the title to one of his final chapters, Majin Buu. This wasn't just about helping Shin anymore. It was about learning what more there was out there. He would study the moves of his father, himself, Shin, and Kibito. Just like in the original, Videl would become aware of Gohan being strange, and one day she follows him after school. She has noticed how he disappears as soon as school ends, unaware of the teleportation he has, one of the many things he learned from the Kais. She sees this as a chance to confront him, but just as she jumps on him, Gohan says Kai Kai and disappears along with Videl. When she opens her eyes, she finds that she's hugging Gohan tightly. They both blush, but are interrupted by a screaming Kibito. While he freaks out, Shin tells him that it's not a big matter, and to just keep training, that they were his uncles, and Goku told Videl that this was true. Gohan of course had to introduce her to his father. He tried to avoid any questions about the halo. Videl insists on learning how to teleport, or at least fly. Kibito protests, but Shin tells Gohan that it would make some good training. After all, keeping up with the basics is something he has to do. Videl would learn much quicker because of the help of the Kaioshin, and would no doubt also become stronger. This also allows Gohan to figure out exactly how to teach someone with no expertise about Ki, thus birthing the introductory chapter of his book. Videl pleads with Gohan for him to enter the martial arts tournament, but Gohan says that he has no time. Shin, however, realizes that this is when Spopovich is set to appear at the tournament, and that they would be led to Buu. So, Gohan agreed. Finally, the day of battle arrived, and Gohan showed up in his Kaioshin getup with the bandana on. He had the Z-Sword in a capsule, as weapons were not allowed. Shin and Kibito were next to him, along with Videl, Goten, and Chi-Chi. The Dragon team reunited for the first time in a long time, and everyone smiled when they saw Goku, brought back by Uranai Baba. The tournament went on as usual, but with Goku and the others already aware of the threat of Buu. When it was time for Videl to fight Spopovich, she actually did much better against him. Her one-on-one training with Gohan led her to become a powerhouse of her own, and she was actually able to push Spopovich out of bounds. But this angered the man who, along with Yamu, rushed in to attack Videl. Every punch gave some killy to Buu. This was the chance the Kaioshin were waiting for. So Gohan stepped in to punch Spopovich across the jaw and save Videl. She thanked Gohan and stood hurt side by side with him. They were both ready, along with Shin and Kibito.
Gohan, you may be hurt, but you know what you have to do. Right. Over here, you two. This is what you want, isn't it?
A smirk curled on the lips of Spopovich and Yamu, rushing in to take Gohan's Kili, stabbing him in the chest. His energy was quickly drained, much faster than what Gohan and Shin anticipated. Unlike the original story, where Gohan gave around half what was needed for Buu, this time Gohan gave almost 80% of energy. This was dangerous, so Kibito punched Spopovich away. Him and Yamu sped off, and Kibito nodded at Gohan and Shin. Gohan placed a hand on his chest, healing himself, one of the many things the Kais taught him. Once healed, he turned to Goku and the others. Gohan smiled and told them that he'd be back, to not leave the tournament for him. Goku agreed and hugged his son. He was proud. Gohan clicked the capsule, and out popped the Z-Sword. Piccolo insisted on going with them, since he was done with his matches. Gohan nodded, and they all left following the Majins. The tournament continued, and the battle between Goku and Vegeta would soon arrive. It wasn't long before Gohan and the others came to the site of Babidi's ship. Babidi was ecstatic, and retreated to his ship after killing Spopovich and Yamu. Dabura spotted the heroes, and zoomed in to attack. Gohan anticipated this, and swung the sword in front of Kibito, cutting Dabura's hand off. Dabura screamed in pain and spat at Gohan, who deflected the spit with his hand. This gave Dabura a chance to retreat. The team rushed in quickly, ready to finish the fight. First up was Pui, who stood no chance against Piccolo. He was defeated so quickly that the team did not get the information about every punch landed, giving Killy to Boo. Yakon was next, and it didn't take long for Gohan to realize his light-stealing power. He made sure to write down in his pad, then proceeded to simply slice and dice through the beast. Dabura was waiting, watching the boy. Babidi had gifted Dabura with another hand, but warned that if he failed again, then it was his head that would be taken next. Babidi said that this hand was enhanced and could make him stronger. Motivated, Dabura appeared before them. Gohan remained in his base form, smirking. Piccolo was surprised. This was the first time he had to see Gohan truly fight since the Cell games. And even in this base form, it seemed as if his power dwarfed that of the Cell games. Dabura felt his incredible power too, and took a step back. Either way, he smirked.
Why don't we have fun? Sword versus sword.
I see you've got a new hand. Let's fix that. Batter up!
Ah, you dare mock me?
Gohan wasn't interested in finishing this off quickly. Dabura was a very interesting individual, so he wanted to take as many notes as possible. His fighting style, his sword stance, everything. Dabura's sword and the Z-sword clashed, creating shockwaves across the room. The fight went on for a while, as Gohan toyed with Dabura, though Shin and Kibito pleaded with him to finish it off quickly. But the last time Dabura swung his sword, it was broken in half. Dabura spat at Gohan, trying to get him in the chest, but instead of dodging, Gohan clicked the capsule. Out popped the flask where the spit landed. Gohan closed it, commenting on how this would be some great research material. Dabura felt humiliated and continued to try to beat Gohan. However, the Saiyan took out his notepad and began to write down more and more, only fighting with his legs. But finally, one punch landed clean on Gohan's face, then a kick, and then a blast. This was all that was needed left for Boo to be revived. Dabura laughed as Babidi communicated this. He was about to retreat, but Gohan damned the world. He wasn't gonna let him get away because he was playing around. Not like last time. Gohan rushed at Dabura just as he was about to leave and blasted him with one final Masenko. That was it. Dabura was finished. Gohan didn't even need to use his full power, but Babidi recited his incantations one final time, and they all appeared outside. Gohan was still writing some stuff down. He was truly excited to have fought such a strange opponent. He used his swords differently than he did. Could there be a way to use swords and ki together? Perhaps he could get Trunks and Goten to help him with experiments later. But Gohan looked up and saw a cloud of pink mist. Babidi didn't care that his minions were dead, because he had all he needed. The egg that held Boo cracked open, and out came the evil monster. Gohan turned to Kibito and said,
This is what I've been fighting for, huh?
It's now or never, Gohan.
If that's so, I'd like to wear my dad's clothing, if that's alright. He did so much for me during my training for this.
What's wrong with the Kaioshin guards? No matter. I think it's missing something.
Really?
Piccolo used his own clothes beam on Gohan, but the only difference was a small demon emblem on his chest, similar to his outfit during his training with Piccolo. Gohan hugged Piccolo tightly. He then turned to Boo, sword in hand. Gohan burst into Super Saiyan 2 immediately and sliced clean through Majin Buu. But when he turned around, he realized that Buu could regenerate. Now this was a little more interesting. The fight would continue for a while, with Gohan realizing the might of the chocolate beam when it struck a rock. This was a terrifying opponent indeed, but Gohan couldn't help but yell at Kibito to write some of this down. The time came when the Z-Sword would no longer be of use. Gohan wanted to show off his full power. The power that him and his father had been working on. A power that made even Majin Buu shake.
Boo gonna eat you! That's right, Boo. Fight those who stand against the wizard Babidi!
Fight you? No, I'm going to kill you.
Gohan told Kibito to hold the Z-Sword for him as he threw it back, but Kibito didn't even try to catch it. None of them could move it beside Gohan. The Saiyan cracked his knuckles, further expanding his aura. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta stopped their fight mid-punches, closing their eyes to feel the incredible ki of both Gohan and Buu.
We still have a match to finish.
Kakarot, who's that huge key?
That's Gohan!
No, Kakarot, the larger one!
Yeah, Vegeta, I can feel it. That one's Gohan's.
Impossible. That kid grew so much that Majin Buu guys, yeah. I feel the difference. His ki is evil like no other. Can Gohan beat him alone?
I don't doubt it. Now come on, Vegeta. I don't want to wait until you die before we have to finish this fight.
Let's go, Kakarot!
And they begin once more!
Gohan pushed himself forward with a barrage of kicks and punches. The years of training alone and with the Z-Sword were paying off. He was so strong, in fact, that Buu couldn't keep up at all. However, Gohan knew that he wouldn't be able to defeat Buu without destroying every single one of his atoms. Piccolo spoke to him telepathically.
Gohan, what's wrong? You're beating him but slowing down.
Piccolo, I need your help. I need Buu to keep still so I can vaporize him.
Piccolo knew what he had to do, and the other two quickly caught on. Piccolo blasted at Buu from behind, creating multi-forms of himself to blast from different angles. This barely tickled Buu. But then, Kibito and Shin joined in. Buu was turning around to attack the three when Gohan appeared behind him with a Kai Kai. Buu was consumed whole by the blast. He couldn't escape it because he was being attacked from other directions. Babidi pleaded with him to escape, but there was no way out. There was a huge explosion as the attacks reached their limit, and everyone was blown away. Nothing of Buu was left behind. Gohan contained the core of the explosion using a huge shield. He was gravely hurt by it, but he had to make sure that Buu wouldn't be around anymore. Gohan turned around. He held his arm, injured, but used his other one to point it at Babidi. Babidi cried out for help. But instead of killing him, Gohan just turned around and headed back to the tournament, telling Shin and Kibito that it was all his. Back at the tournament, Gohan got to see the final few moments of Goku versus Vegeta. It was an incredible match. Though Goku was holding back, Vegeta didn't know it. There was only a single piece of arena left as the two fought in the sky. Super Saiyan 2 versus Super Saiyan 2. It was the most incredible fight the tournament had ever seen. They could have kept going forever, but Goku decided to really push Vegeta to his limit, powering up further and further, but not quite reaching Super Saiyan 3. Goku beat down Vegeta, defeating him with a ring out like no other, as Vegeta was sent hurling across the world and into a mountain far away. Once Vegeta returned, he made Goku promise a rematch, but the tournament had to be cancelled after that. There was no arena left. Mr. Satan sighed with relief. Goku resigned to just chill out and spend time with his family during his final moments on Earth. Videl was so proud of Gohan, and so was Chi-Chi, Goku, and Goten. Even Vegeta couldn't help but admit that he was proud of the kid. The day ended with Goku having to return to the other world. Gohan promised that they'd see each other again, but once Goku disappeared, Gohan was just left standing there. He was now the protector of Earth, much like his father had been long ago. Though, reluctantly, he was excited to see if there was any other enemies that he could analyze and study. He could further develop his own fighting by meeting new people. Maybe one day, everyone in the world could be a martial artist, thanks to his book. Gohan was daydreaming when somebody pulled him by his collar. He was being dragged away. When he snapped out of it, he realized it was Vegeta.
Come on, boy. We've got a lot of training to do together.
And so, our heroes left to reach further heights.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
I hope you guys are enjoying the video, and if you like the stuff I do, there's a way you can support the channel. By clicking the membership button, you will be able to see various tiers. Each one of them has some rewards. My personal favorite ones are the Super Saiyan hair badges that adorn your name in comments and live streams on my channel. The longer you stay a member, the larger the power up. So if you like the stuff I do and feel like supporting me in some way, be sure to check out the membership. Anyways, back to the show.
Back to our show.
Today is Bulma's birthday party, and the Dragon team have all come together to celebrate. Everyone is having lots of fun, including our hero, Gohan. Admittedly, he has been drinking some, and ended up wearing his old Kaioshin getup in a drunken dance. But it's okay, today is a day to celebrate. Meanwhile, Mr. Satan ponders over the manuscript. Over the past few months, Gohan has let him read some of his writings. Mr. Satan still has difficult time understanding it all, and coming to terms with the fact that all these strange creatures and powers are real. He promised Gohan a book deal, as long as he got to read the book along the way. Slowly, he had begun to learn. He managed to float a tiny bit, or at least he thought he did. While the party goes on, Vegeta sits alone. He has his mind on something else. Just seconds before, he got news from King Kai that Beerus, an extremely powerful god, might come to Earth. He knew Beerus from his childhood, and was not ready to see him ever again. Vegeta goes to Gohan.
Kid, snap out of it. We've got trouble.
Trouble? Come on, Vegeta, let's just have fun. It's nearly time for bingo.
Ugh, get off of me. Have a coffee. We're gonna need you, hate to admit it.
Not long after, Vegeta felt a cold down his spine. A flash of light let him know that Beerus and his master Whis had arrived. They had already visited the dead Goku at King Kai's planet, and found it disappointing that there was no Super Saiyan God. Surely, they would find someone here. Beerus introduced himself, but Vegeta was well aware of who he was. In an effort to keep him calm and away from destroying Earth, he slaps some sense into Gohan, who finally settles down and thinks of what to do. He contacts the Kaioshin, his old friend, but they have no idea what a Super Saiyan God even is. Time goes on, and Beerus is enjoying the party. However, things take a turn for the worse when Mr. Satan overhears Gohan and Vegeta talking in secret. He heard everything about the God of Destruction, the danger Earth is in, etc. Mr. Satan clenched his fist and looked down at Gohan's manuscript in his hand. Defiantly, he turned back to face the purple god.
Hey, Beavis! Missing an R in there somewhere. I hear you're nothing but a big bully who hurts folks if they don't give you food. Well, tell you what, that ain't gonna fly here while the champ is around. You wanna eat something tasty, huh? Well, I've got something for you.
Mr. Satan opens the manuscript to a bookmarked page entitled Simple Ki Blast, mimicking the movement in the picture shown.
Megaton Ki Blast!
Mr. Satan rushed in, palm open, stopping just inches away from Beerus. A tiny bulb of ki flops down from his hand and onto the ground, disappearing. Beerus is not amused. His aura begins to glow bright, and Mr. Satan drops back. Gohan and Vegeta quickly turn to watch. Oh no, Vegeta cursed at this idiot.
I don't even need 0.5% of my power.
Beerus pointed his finger at Mr. Satan, about to fire a beam, but just as the blast was going to fire, a kick cut through the air and forced Beerus' blast away into a mountain. Beerus was surprised. He didn't expect a kick like that, more powerful than he knew humans could muster. Beerus looked up and saw that it was Videl. She had been training for some time with Gohan and the Kaioshin, so her power is a lot higher than many of the other characters. But of course, no chance against Beerus. And again, he was not amused.
Enough, Beerus, wait!
Videl was slapped, nearly tumbling to the ground but remaining on one knee through sheer force of will. Beerus felt something incredible, an incredible spike in power, so sudden that he was actually impressed. Gohan pushed himself forward at full speed, sword in hand. He struck Beerus right across the chest, cutting him a little bit. Beerus' eyes opened wide, but Gohan was not done. He kept slicing and dicing, already a Super Saiyan 2. Beerus knew this could be the guy he was looking for. He was above even that of the Saiyan on Kaiba's planet, but Beerus recognized the sword. It was the same sword he had captured the old Kaiyan long ago. He needed to be careful with it, so he dodged all of the attacks. But Gohan was relentless, and Beerus was forced to actually block one of the swings, the sword striking his nail at such an angle that the sword snapped in half, the blade spinning to land right in front of Mr. Satan. Dende, who was healing Videl, and Videl herself, told Gohan to stop, and the Saiyan fell to his knees.
What have you done, boy? I think you killed that old Kai.
Oi! You ought to really cut your nails, Beerus.
What the hell?
Beerus was glad to see the old Kai was not dead, but he refused to apologize. Gohan went on to check with Videl, but she was alright. Beerus took a step forward to the old Kai and Gohan and demanded to see a Super Saiyan God. The Kai had no idea what that was, but Beerus threatened him with trapping him in a popsicle next time. Scared, the old Kai shoved Gohan down and told him that he would unlock his hidden power. He didn't know if it would work, but at least it would buy him time, right? Videl talked to Gohan about what occurred.
I've always had trouble with anger. It brings me great strength, but it's awful. I considered never fighting again because of it. It cost me my dad.
But Videl was having none of it. It was not Gohan's fault that his father died, and he would need to learn to control his anger. Make it something positive. Try to channel it through happiness. Become stronger because of happiness. After all, he was about to become a...
I'm gonna be a dad? Videl, this is the best news!
The celebrations were short-lived, as the old Kai pulled him back, having to restart the ritual. The ritual would take a long time, and Beerus had little patience. He threatened to kill them all if it was not done quickly. In a rush, Vegeta used the Dragon Balls to summon Shenron.
Shenron, speed up the Super Saiyan God dance the old Kai is doing.
I am afraid that dance will not result in a god.
So you've been lying to me, Kaioshin.
Goddamn snitch, I will show you. I'm gonna make this kid into something stronger than any Saiyan God.
Whatever. Dragon, how do we bring out this Super Saiyan God?
Shenron went on to explain the god ritual, but the angry Kaioshin insisted on keeping Gohan, wanting to make him into a powerful warrior his own way. They only had 5 Saiyans anyways, out of the 6, right? Whis told everyone to wait 20 minutes. And within that time, they brought down Goku from Kaio's planet. Goku knew how pressing the issue was. Whis told him that he would only be around for the ritual and the fight, so to hurry it up. Gohan was still on the ground, with the Kai in the middle of the circle. The Saiyans held hands, and at the helm, Vegeta stood tall. He was excited, in all honesty. The power of Super Saiyan God engulfed him, pushing him to reach new heights that he never felt before. But would this be enough? Beerus really wanted to fight Gohan, but he guessed this would do. Meanwhile, Gohan asked the old Kai hundreds of questions about the universe and the old times, even this ritual. He might as well jot down some things on his book while he waits. He did that too, as he watched the battle. He had an idea to write down exactly how Beerus fought, checking out his weaknesses, but there were very few and far between. It was almost as if he was giving Vegeta chances to strike, as if testing him. Gohan knew Vegeta's move like the palm of his hand, but it was obvious that he was adapting to this new power and was proving difficult. The battle became more and more even, and Vegeta's moves evolved into something that even Gohan did not recognize. Beerus was impressed by the power alright, but it was no match for him. As Goku and Gohan watched the fight, Goku told him how proud he was, and how happy he was to be around his family one more time. Chi-Chi was hugging his arm tightly, and Goten his leg. The battle culminated in space, where Beerus caught Vegeta by the leg, launching him back down to Earth, where he crashed in a fiery burst of glory. The crash was not far from the boat, and Bulma freaked out. Someone needed to go help Vegeta before he drowned. Goku jumped in the water instantly without thinking, and saved Vegeta. Once the prince regained consciousness, Beerus floated up to him. Gohan still sitting. He was getting really tired.
You were a fun opponent to deal with. Perhaps you have more potential in you. And you, kid, how's the ritual?
I think he fell asleep.
Wake up, Kaioshin!
Yeah, huh? Oh, yeah, right. You were done half an hour ago.
I'm so... Damn it! It's fine, but I'm not in the mood for a fight anymore. Whatever you have to offer, you will show Whis. Huh?
Lord Beerus, you don't mean...
Come on, no time to lose.
Gohan turned to look at everyone, and focused on his family. Goku hugged his son tightly. If this was what he thought it was, Gohan was in for an adventure like no other. Goku promised to not stop training, and that he looked forward to learning all about his journey in the book. But Gohan held Vidal's hand. He was going to be a father now. He had just found out. But Beerus interrupted, telling Gohan to hurry up and just bring the woman along already. Vidal was really excited about it too. She wanted to see what was happening, maybe even learn a few techniques herself. After some more goodbyes, including Goku being returned to the other world, Gohan and Vegeta, along with Vidal, traveled to Beerus' planet. The first session started right away, Whis challenging Gohan specifically. He wanted to see what the old Kai had done. The moment Gohan tried to turn into a Super Saiyan, his power erupted into something completely unrecognizable. With enough training, maybe the God power-up would be redundant. Even still, this power-up didn't quite reach Vegeta. The two warriors came at Whis, but stood little chance. Vidal was actually a little embarrassed by the end of it. Over the next few months, with some breaks in between, Vegeta and Gohan had strange training sessions, where they both got stronger and stronger. The angel did train the two a little different from each other. This was all in an effort to make the best out of the Saiyans. Along the way, Gohan asked Whis many questions, and he was eager to answer them all, as long as he got some cake for it. They were about ki, martial arts, and more. Gohan also asked his master to repair the Z-Sword, as it had become an extension of him and his fighting. Eventually, Pan was born, and Gohan's training stopped for a little bit, but he continued to use the gravity chamber that Bulma had provided for him. He actually managed to get the Pilaf gang to help with Pan, since he wanted to keep up with both training and his job, as well as writing the book. With a huge explosion, the Frieza Force announced themselves to the world, and in no time, the Z Fighters arrived. Piccolo, Tien, Roshi, Krillin, Jacko, even Vidal and Mr. Satan. They left Pan with Chi-Chi, and Vidal came along, insisting to. Gohan stood tall in front of everyone. They had all been inspired by Gohan's writing. As the Frieza Force poured in from inside the ship, Tagoma stood tall in front of the challengers. Gohan felt their ki, and they were much stronger than he expected. Gohan did not want to lose any time. He had learned many lessons while training with Whis. It was time to put them to good use. The words of Vidal rang in his ear, talking about using happiness as his power source, and the little face of his daughter appeared in his mind.
I won't let you take another step. This is my new power.
A great blue flash of light covered the space, and Gohan's power charged up completely. This is no Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Instead, Gohan had activated his God Ki while in his ultimate state, something akin to a mystic Super Saiyan God, an ultimate Super Saiyan God. The blue flaming aura was calm, and his hair didn't change much, only having a piece of hair fall down and have a slight tint of blue in comparison to the usual black. There was a huge battle cry from the Frieza force, and all of them rushed in towards the Z fighters. Instantly, Mr. Satan ducked behind Videl, even though most of the soldiers ignored him because of his low power level. While everyone else did their best against the soldiers, Videl held her own well enough. But Mr. Satan couldn't do anything but run. Once he was cornered, he closed his eyes and focused as hard as he could, and to his surprise he managed to let out a small ki blast just powerful enough to push back a soldier and make him fall down. In that moment, he took out a little gift box, handed it over to the fallen soldier, and escaped. There was a huge explosion, and Mr. Satan had actually done something. Gohan thought that Vegeta may not be needed in the battle after all, but he did tell Bulma ahead of time to contact Whis.
It's over, Frieza. Come out. Let's get this over with.
With more and more soldiers defeated, including Tagoma, Gohan was ready to face Frieza.
My, I see my reputation precedes me. I do not know your name, but you have the honor of knowing mine.
Huh, yeah, you knew me as a kid. I doubt you'd ever forget me.
What? Wait, you're Goku's kid!
That's right, I'm son Gohan.
Well, while we're talking about fathers, let me introduce you to mine.
The door of the ship swung open, and the terrifying shape of King Cold walked out. He was more powerful than ever before, Gohan could tell. He too had trained with Tagoma, though it took a long time for Frieza to convince him to cooperate. Without the Pilaf gang around, the Frieza force got a second wish to revive King Cold. Frieza was stronger, but Cold was up there too. Frieza had already admired Gohan's new power, and he couldn't hold back. Instantly, both father and son's bodies began to glow, creating a huge flash of light that many were blinded by. It was the birth of Golden Frieza and Golden King Cold. The final battle began without much fanfare. Everyone just watched as Gohan tried his best to keep up with the two. He was stronger than both, but two of them at the same time? That was quite a bit of trouble. Frieza made sure to stay away from the sword. He already had enough experiences with those. King Cold wasn't a great fighter, but he was a powerhouse of his own. Meanwhile, it was clear that Frieza had developed his techniques. Gohan realized that he needed Vegeta, now more than ever. Thankfully, it had been around 15 minutes since the battles began. It wouldn't be long until Whis and Vegeta would arrive. If he could get out of the battle, he could teleport and get Vegeta, but he couldn't risk any seconds of Earth without him. Frieza swept to Gohan's leg and sent him tumbling down to the ground. But Gohan wasn't done just yet. Just then, Vegeta arrived. He was already a Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, and he looked at Frieza straight in the eyes. Gohan and Vegeta understood each other. Without saying much, the two rushed in. Now the playground was even. Vegeta versus Frieza, and King Cold versus Gohan. The battle between the Saiyans and the Cold family was one that extended back for many years, and now it was about to come to a conclusion. But to their surprise, they were a lot more powerful than Frieza and King Cold. Even though they trained with each other, and they were stronger than in the original timeline, Vegeta's and Gohan's power, after training for so many years together, was immeasurable. Gohan in particular seemed to have no limit whatsoever. King Cold dodged out of the way, and Gohan slashed out his tail. The king was humiliated, but Gohan took the chance to kick him away in front of Frieza's blast. Frieza's eyes widened.
This is impossible!
But he wasn't able to react, as Vegeta rushed right in and punched him across the face. He depowered soon after, but he wasn't going to let this happen. He wasn't going to let them win. He was going to destroy the planet. However, Gohan recognized what he was going to do. This amount of ki charging up and pointing down? Come on, it was obvious. Gohan yelled at Vegeta to finish it off quickly. Without hesitation, Vegeta finished off Frieza. And just like that, it was over. Gohan and Vegeta depowered and helped the other Z fighters destroy off whatever else Frieza Force was left. This was the first taste the universe got of their new power. They really wanted to explore it more, though this was a decent challenge. All they could do for now was train more and more. But Beerus knew that something was in the horizon. Something familiar, at least to him. After the battles, Gohan finished writing down everything about Frieza and King Cold, including their new golden state. He decided now that a lot of these villains would be part of a different volume, rather than just learning ki. He was ready for the next time he would have to face some kind of cold Force villain. Though, he doubted that would ever happen, right? He was just happy now to go home to his family. He had a training session set with Goten and Trunks. He was going to teach them a little about sword dueling, and they were very excited. Gohan was at least 90% through his book when he got the news of the Universal Tournament. Now that book became the first volume in the series. There was so much more to learn. To make up for the lost time, not only would he go to the Room of Spirit and Time to train along with Vegeta, Goten, and Trunks, but also spend time writing away and studying. As I explained in part 1, Gohan never really had time to be the Great Saiyaman. So now that he's older and he has more time besides studying, going to school, and helping the Kaioshin out, he decides to develop a version of the Great Saiyaman, off of some concepts he had a long time ago along with Bulma. He is much less silly than the Great Saiyaman we know, but he is doing this as part of his research. He wants this book to be a force for good and self-defense. And what's the best way to defend oneself than being out there in the field, especially against normal human beings. He needs to really understand how they move while also gauging his power. But above all, Gohan wants to create something that's truly his. So this version of the Great Saiyaman is the culmination of all his research. So think of this more of an Iron Man suit rather than a simple disguise. With the help of Bulma, he was able to carry around all his research material in a simple capsule. Additionally, he managed to implement a lot of what he found into the Great Saiyaman suit. Specifically, he now had gauntlets that he could wear outside of his suit. He was excited to get a chance to use them against a real opponent. But since their next challenge was a tournament, he had to leave them behind. Videl was worried about Gohan. She started to train with him again not long after Pan was born, to spend a little more time with him. It wasn't anything too serious, but the time chamber was a good time to relax and do what she loved. When it came time to choose the fighters for the tournament, Gohan couldn't think of anyone better to join him than Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, and Videl. Krillin was a near father figure ever since he was a young kid, during the events on Namek, and Videl had shown so much improvement. However, Beerus was against the idea of Videl joining. He didn't think she was strong enough. Videl knew he was right. Gohan should find someone else.
I said you weren't strong enough right now. I didn't tell you to give up.
Videl couldn't believe Beerus said that, but we smiled. He knew that Beerus saw something special in that human. This pushed Videl to train harder, attempting to break through her limits within the Room of Spirit and Time. She didn't have too much time, and she could never spend too long in there, but the time she did have was of incredible success. Piccolo noticed her drive and helped her, even pointing her to Korin Tower, where she obtained the sacred water from Korin after some time. She became a formidable warrior in her own right. Above strength, however, was just how smart and tactical she was. Piccolo admired this most about her, and watched as she always read over Gohan's book manuscripts. The day of the tournament arrived. Gohan and the others were ready. Videl was the first one to enter the ring against Botamo. The alien stood like a boulder in front of her, but she quickly realized that none of her punches were doing much. She flipped backwards, just to burst forward with a barrage of punches, further and faster out, pushing Botamo's gut to an extreme, so much so that his body sprung back and flew off towards the stands. Ring out. Beerus smirked at Videl, and Whis nodded at her. She wiped sweat off her brow. Next up was Frost. Gohan was worried about this one, as he knew just how powerful the Frieza race could be. After finding out they were fighting one, Videl read everything Gohan had on the Frieza race and King Cold. She felt ready, but the fight did not go in her favor, as she was quickly knocked out. But Gohan had had years of analyzing his opponents and noticing the smallest details. When he went to check on Videl, Gohan recognized a small puncture wound, so that's what it was. Now it was Gohan's turn. Taking off his glasses, he burst into his mystic state, smirking, not letting Frost know he knew what he was up to. Gohan avoided every single one of Frost's punches from the needle arm, eventually teleporting behind him, grabbing it, and raising it up to the sky. He pressed on it to reveal the venom pouring out. Without a word, Gohan then swung Frost out of bounds. Videl would be allowed back to battle, though Gohan and Videl told the referee that Piccolo would fight next. Piccolo versus Vegeta was up. The ring closing proved to be a challenge for Piccolo, but as with many other fights, Piccolo was already breaking him down through words.
Come on, you piece of junk. That all you got?
Proud.
Piccolo was able to distract Vegeta by yelling at him while launching a Hellzone grenade. It destroyed the arena around him, and it only took one more key sphere to topple him over out of the ring. Vegeta asked Piccolo to let him fight Kaba, as he had something in store for the Saiyan. The two fights play as they did in the original, with Vegeta pushing Kaba into Super Saiyan and winning. The battle against Hit was similar as well, but this time Gohan watched and jotted down every single little thing.
0.1 seconds for that time skip thing. He's clearly masking his next move with his clothing. Vegeta's only choice is to predict Hit's moves.
I didn't even realize. Gohan, if Vegeta loses, do you think you can take that Hit guy on?
I don't know the extent of his power, so he could be potentially stronger. I'll have to exploit the time skip.
Like in the original, Vegeta lost against Hit, but the battle gave Gohan the information he needed. He approached this fight much differently than his father. He has no Kaioken after all. Gohan burst into his ultimate form, enticing Hit's blows. Hit didn't realize it, but with every punch he landed, Gohan moved closer and closer to the edge. Gohan didn't let him know that he was analyzing the pattern of movement and checking just how often he predicted Hit's moves correctly. It was about 6 out of 10 times. When he was close enough to the edge, Gohan threw one last punch to instigate the time skip. It was a 60% chance of predicting where Hit would go, and he predicted right. Hit moved right behind and to the left of Gohan. He hadn't realized it, but at the same time that Gohan had thrown a punch, he had also extended his left leg. Hit tripped over it as he time skipped, prompting Gohan to snap back around with his other leg and kicking Hit out of bounds. Ring out. Krillin bragged about not having to fight, and how he would have defeated them all anyways. Krillin had seen Gohan's improvement, especially during his tournament. Part of him was sad that he didn't get to fight, so he will push himself harder. Following the tournament, Zeno appeared to introduce himself. He loved the battles. Mr. Satan didn't quite understand who he was, but he knew that he was powerful. He saw this as an opportunity. Mr. Satan slid close next to Zeno, shaking his hand and pulling something out of his pocket, Gohan's manuscript. Gohan looked at his sash and noticed that his book was gone.
So, Mr. Zeno-sama Omni-King, sir, if you liked this battle, then you should totally read my son-in-law's book. He's the strongest in the universe. He just needs some more research to finish it. It has info and secrets on the gods of destruction, Beavis, Whis, and probably even you.
Mr. Satan, I'm not sure.
Quiet, son. The champion of Earth's got this.
Champion? So you must be really strong too. If you want to finish your book, then I know what to do. We'll hold one of these,
Tournaments?
tournaments, but include all the various universes.
That's a great idea.
And the loser will get destroyed.
Okay, not so great idea.
Wait a minute, I don't...
Thanks for the idea, Mr. Champion. You're my best friend now. Take this button and visit me sometime, okay? Bye.
No, wait, what have you done?
It's okay, we'll just have to train for it. Beerus, contact us when the time comes, alright?
Yada? Fine. But keep that buffoon out of my sight. Let's make the wish and get this over with.
Soon, the team returned to Earth, and already had a new tournament to look forward to. They would need to train hard, harder than ever. They didn't know what powerful beings could be out there. He made sure to ask Hit for a future match, as he wanted to study him and his techniques further. However, there was a different enemy brewing in a different reality. One day, while Gohan and Bulma were tinkering with the Great Saiyaman suit, and adding a few new things to it, a portal ripped through space and time, welcoming the time machine of future Trunks. The terrified man went to attack Gohan, swinging wildly, but Gohan stopped him. When things settled down, Trunks was able to explain. Someone named Gohan attacked his future. Trunks couldn't help but tear up. It was as if his own master, the one who sacrificed himself for the future, the one he fought to honor, had turned against him. But as he finished his tale, another rip in reality occurred. This time, it was Gohan Black himself. The confused Gohan Black looked around, only to focus on his present doppelganger. Yes, this was him.
You are that man I saw long ago. I've never met you in my life. Well, in the mirror, I guess.
But I've met you. You are the mortal that collected the secrets of the universe. The one that transcended Akai's own power. The sinner that thought himself a god.
I don't think any of that.
Black looked behind Gohan and saw the book sitting on the table. That was the one he saw long ago in the transmissions of the Universal Tournament. He had to take it, learn from it. Faster than light, Black disappeared and reappeared, simply to take the manuscript and rush back. Gohan burst into Super Saiyan, punching Black across the face, making the book fly back and get sucked through the portal. Black smirked, firing a dark Masenko that pushed him backwards through the portal as it closed. Gohan's hands were shaking. Sure, he had older copies of the book, but that was his most up-to-date one. Plus, it had many secrets that the man should not have. They not only needed to help Trunks, but also get that book back. The team is set, with Vegeta, Trunks, and Gohan going. After refueling the time machine, the team headed into the future. They needed to move quickly. Trunks was distraught, and thought that it was really his old master returned from the dead. He didn't want to believe it, but watching Gohan kill his own mother had affected him deeply. Present Gohan's plan was to meet this reality's Uranai Baba, who had been in hiding for a long time. More than anything, he wanted to confirm whether or not This was really Gohan. By finding Baba, they were able to ask her to contact King Yama, who explained that Gohan was in fact still in the other world, and that he trained there for a few years before deciding to go to heaven after watching Trunks defeat the androids. Trunks was relieved and was ready to fight Black again. But before returning, Gohan looked at Baba's eyes.
Can we bring him back just for a day?
Gohan, what are you suggesting?
We need all the help we can get. Don't worry, Trunks. If he was training in another world, then he must have gotten stronger.
Baba wasn't sure that Yama would agree, but to her surprise, he did. Turns out Goku cashed in a few favors from him. Yama had a soft spot for the guy, and he allowed Gohan to return. Trunks wasn't sure if he was ready for when Baba showed up once again with his old master. Present Gohan stood up to meet him, extending his hand out. Future Gohan shook it, but present Gohan realized that his left arm was missing.
I'm not a southpaw anymore. That's okay, I'll be it for you.
Then, future Gohan and Trunks locked eyes, hugging each other tightly. Gohan told him how proud he was, and the powerful man he'd become. Everything will be okay. Gohan also nodded at Vegeta, who shot out a smile. Everyone then turned to present Gohan.
So, what's the plan?
We don't know much about this guy, aside from the fact that he's very powerful. We gotta match that power too. Let's go to the Room of Spirit and Time. Spend some time there in pairs while the other two guard the lookout and distract Black, alright?
They asked Baba if this would work. After all, they would spend a lot more than one day in the Room of Spirit and Time. Baba said that as long as it's only one day in the normal world, it should be fine. Then let's get a move on. First was Trunks and future Gohan. Trunks was instructed to push Gohan to his very limit and take advantage of the fact that he was dead. No way they could get something like Super Saiyan Blue while in there. But Ultimate Gohan knew that at the very least, they could achieve something akin to Super Saiyan 3. This was because Goku had achieved it while dead, and could only use it to his maximal potential when dead. Next was Gohan and Vegeta. This had become routine for them. The teams then switched to future Gohan and Vegeta and the two Gohans. The training between Trunks and Vegeta was similar to the one in the original story, while the two Gohans taught each other their secrets and talked a lot. Future Gohan was just glad that not every universe ended up like his. By the end of it, both Trunks and future Gohan ended up with significant boosts. The team didn't have much time, so they only spent a few months in the chamber, as opposed to the usual year. After the training, they headed out to confront Black. To their surprise, he had achieved a strange form of Gohan's ultimate state. It was a rose color. It was almost like he was a Super Saiyan, but different. The battle started and the team clearly had the upper hand. But Vegeta didn't want to share. A stray punch sent Vegeta flying away. Gohan and the others ganged up on Black, but he knew exactly how both future Trunks and Gohan moved. Gohan had written a thorough analysis on the sword fighting that Trunks used, and his own style. He wasn't going to publish everything, but it was necessary research. The wild card was future Gohan. He was much more aggressive than the other two, and relied on his legs, something none of the other fighters really did. This caused Black to be caught off guard and be sent hurling into the ground. Gohan clicked on his Saiyaman gauntlet, finally able to show off some of his research. It shot out a liquid that hit Black. He instantly turned into stone. This was the result of studying Dabura and his strange magic powers. But this form of his spit was unrefined and could only turn one into stone for a short amount of time. It's then when Zamasu comes out of hiding to even the odds, blasting away future Gohan and Trunks. The immortal god explained just who he was and his Zero Mortals plan. Gohan was in disbelief. How could they defeat an immortal? Like in the original story, future Trunks tells the others to escape to the past and get some help. Future Gohan stays behind too, as the machine is blinded by the light of the master student Masenko. Present Gohan, who feels he could potentially beat Zamasu in a fight, has no idea how to deal with him being immortal. Back in the present, they heal up and tell Beerus about the situation. He goes to destroy present Zamasu, and both Gowasu and Kaioshin agree to go with them to the future. Before then, however, Piccolo records and teaches Gohan about the Mafuba. Gohan made sure to have the seal and the little jar in his Saiyaman belt. He then puts his gauntlets on one more time, along with his great Saiyaman watch. The team returned to the future, where they watched Zamasu and Black continue to battle against Gohan in Super Saiyan 3 and Rage Trunks. Vegeta yelled out, "Tag out!" to the team, to which Vegeta and present Gohan jumped into battle. Gowasu and Shin explained their Mafuba plan, but that trapping Zamasu while they fought Black would be troublesome. Shin gave both of them a senzu bean and showed Trunks the explanation on how to do the Mafuba as filmed by Piccolo. Gohan fired a rope from his gauntlet that wrapped around Black. It was made of Kachin, nearly impossible to cut. That was until Black's aura burst open and sliced clean through it. Black summoned a set of clones that kept the two Saiyans busy, while he and Zamasu fused into merged Zamasu. This was a power none of them had ever expected. He pulled out the manuscript he stole from Gohan and read some of it with a smirk. Trunks and future Gohan needed to do something, but they simply couldn't stand a chance against merged Zamasu and his clones. Even Gohan and Vegeta were having trouble, regardless of their power. Gowazu had an idea and told Trunks that he needed to do the Mafuba. Pressing Gohan retreated, while Vegeta took over the fight. He was confident that he would win, but soon found out just how powerful Zamasu was. Gohan got in on the plan.
Trunks may be able to survive, but I didn't stand a chance. If something happens and this Gohan dies, he will disappear forever. There might be another way. What is it, Gowasu? A secret Kai technique? Something like that. These are the Potara earrings. They are what combine Zamasu's power.
Gowazu handed both Gohans the Potara earrings. Their power would be enough to take down Zamasu for long enough, while Trunks could prepare the Mafuba.
If we're gonna do this, then we'll do it right.
Gohan pressed the buttons on his watch, revealing his great Saiyaman outfit.
No way, that's so cool! I wanted one, but the resources were so limited after the android's attack. Isn't it the best? Cool. You get used to this sort of thing. You ready? Let's do this!
Then, Gohan combined their powers to give birth to a new, incredible being.
Two realities combined into one! But calling us Gohan wouldn't be any fun! We are the ultimate Saiyaman! Come on, Trunks, let's finish this battle!
The Saiyaman threw the Mafuba bottle to Trunks. His cape covered his left side as the Saiyan pulled out his sword, rushing in for an attack. Vegeta took a deep breath and nodded at the fusion. Zamasu was relying too much on what he had learned from the book. He was not prepared for this combination of the Saiyan's techniques. A sword slash could follow a roundhouse kick, and ended with a giant blast. Zamasu was done for, slowly deforming into a monstrous being. But the Immortal did get one clean shot against the Saiyaman's face. He was sent hurling against the building. The fusion set up.
Don't you see? This is your fate, the fate of all mortals. Take that ridiculous helmet off and give up. You're right, why don't you hold it for me?
The Saiyan launched the helmet at Zamasu, who instinctively caught it just to be slammed across the face. The punch pushed Zamasu up, but Gohan reappeared on top, kicking him all the way back down as he posed on top of Zamasu. The Saiyaman then entered into his ultimate blue state. The god came rushing towards him fast, determined to end it all with a blast, but Gohan sliced right through it, not only cutting the blast in half, but Zamasu himself. As he began to regenerate, Trunks used the Mafuba, trapping the monster in the jar. It was over. And before long, future Gohan had to say goodbye to Trunks. They had spent an incredible time together. And although Trunks tried to get him to stay, telling him that he would find the Dragon Balls and revive him, future Gohan insisted that his time on Earth was up, that Trunks' path diverted from his long ago. Gohan promised to watch the reconstruction of Earth from heaven, and always be rooting for him. Vegeta and Gohan helped out a little, with Gohan even pointing out where New Namek was, hinting that maybe, even if he can't revive all the other Z-Fighters, perhaps Bulma was still worth saving. But on their way back to their present, Gohan thought of something. He turned to Trunks, and with a smile, invited him to join in the multiversal
tournament
that Zeno had announced. He of course agreed, especially after finding out what was at stake. They also pulled a few strings, particularly Mr. Satan's, to get the trapped Zamasu over to Zeno, ensuring that he never caused trouble again. Our heroes, Gohan and Trunks, trained for the upcoming tournament. Gohan has no idea what to expect, but knows that there will be many challenges ahead. Slowly he has been able to come up with a team, but there's still one more spot left to be filled. Though he wants to have Roshi, Yamcha, and his friends on the team, he realizes that there has to be other strong, powerful beings out there. And though he trusts his friends, he doesn't want to put the weight of the universe in their shoulders. So he goes to a few planets he knows, including planet Namek. There he tries to find a strong Namekian. Him and Piccolo talk to a bunch of Namekians, and though there are some quite powerful ones, none of them reach the heights they want. They instead go over to Muri's house and ask if they can just meditate for a little, try to sense ki, and find if there's anyone out there to help. And to their surprise, they find a strong, really powerful presence. It's a remote planet, Vampa. Piccolo thinks that it could just be some kind of creature in there, but Gohan thinks otherwise. This ki seems familiar. It's the same feeling he feels when his anger spikes. The two heroes head over to the planet, where they are attacked by giant spiders. To their surprise, they hear someone yell out a name, and before they know it, a Saiyan, Broly, punches the spider away. More spiders gang up on them, but him, Gohan and Piccolo defeat them easily. After things calm down, Gohan stares at Broly. He couldn't believe the amount of power coming from him, and couldn't believe that more Saiyans were still alive. Paragus introduces himself, telling them a little bit about him. Piccolo doesn't trust these Saiyans, at least not the older one. Gohan is surprised to hear that King Vegeta is the one who had sent them away, and even more surprised to see that they're both alive. Gohan realizes the amount of power that this Broly has, and asks Paragus that in exchange for letting them go to Earth and stay there, Broly would be allowed to compete. Paragus agrees, reluctantly. Even after being told that Prince Vegeta would be there, he decides to stay quiet, to not cause any trouble, at least not until after the tournament. After all, if it was this serious, then they would need Broly. They returned to Earth, where Bulma provided them with a capsule home. Paragus gritted his teeth at the sight of Vegeta, but the Saiyan Prince did welcome them. Vegeta was being a lot more docile than usual. This is because Bulma is pregnant and about to give birth. Paragus begins to plan something, but remains mostly isolated, only going out when Gohan and Broly go out to train, to make sure that he doesn't go too wild. Gohan hates the idea of this collar that Paragus has, and is sure that there's no way it can get that bad. He discusses with Broly, and they find out that they have a lot in common. Broly doesn't necessarily enjoy fighting the way Goku or Vegeta do. He's a Saiyan, so it's in his blood, but he relates a lot more to Gohan. A lot of Broly's training with Gohan consists of ki and meditation, trying to contain the incredible power that he has. And a lot of it works, and Paragus realizes this, as even when it seems that Broly is going to go crazy, he remains calm while his power increases. Paragus is relieved, but a little worried that Broly might not be under his control. Gohan also utilizes a lot of the stuff he wrote down on his book to teach Broly. Basically, a trial run. The final few pages of the volume end with the description of Broly's training, and how Ki could manage to calm him down. Trunks also joins in a lot of the training, and the three Saiyans get along. Just like in the original, Whis helps Bulma give birth, and Vegeta is allowed to enter the tournament. Goten and Trunks really want to enter the tournament, but there's only one spot left to be filled. Gohan has been training with them for a very long time, even developing a new form of martial arts with swords. Their idea is to fuse right as the tournament starts. This way they will have at least 30 minutes before defusing and being disqualified. The team is set: Gohan, Trunks, Piccolo, Vegeta, 18, 17, Krillin, Tien, Mighty Mask, and Broly. Trunks feels uncomfortable working with the androids, so it was Gohan's idea to have Trunks and himself be the ones to recruit them, to have Trunks easen up on them a little. After realizing that 17 has a family and a lot of people he loves, Trunks relates to him in the form of Mai, so he's happy to have him as an ally. Right before the Grand Priest announces the tournament to begin, they fuse, and so it starts. Broly sticks with Gohan, confronting Kale and Caulifla. Kale goes berserks and battles Broly. Gohan realizes the similarity in their power and tries to break it off, but he can't. Gohan had the controller just in case, and he was about to press it as he watched Broly's eyes go blank. Broly was on the defensive. He didn't want to hurt Kale that badly, but he also needed to defend himself. That's when Kale grabbed onto Broly's collar, ripping it off and launching him down. All of the universes remained quiet as Broly stood up with a golden aura, turning into a Super Saiyan. Every punch between Kale and Broly shook the arena, and the energy that expanded from them began to destroy the stands. It seemed like they disappeared from reality, just to reappear as the sky ripped open. But Broly was stronger than Kale, punching her down and beating on her. Gohan did what he could, rushing towards Broly and grabbing him from the back, holding him tight, telling him to calm down, that this isn't him, but Broly wouldn't stop. Trunks rushed in too, putting a hand on his shoulder, then Krillin, Gotenks, everyone. All of them had their hands on Broly's back, telling him that it's okay, and Gohan finally said to remember his training. There was a sparkle in Broly's eye as he began to calm down. Caulifla protected Kale from the punches as Broly kept going, but when they slowed down, she looked back, and so Kale, smiling at her, looks like protecting her, and the words from Universe 7 helped Kale calm down as well. Broly remained a Super Saiyan, but a lot more in control. The tournament would continue, but Kale and Caulifla, along with Universe 7's team, rushed away from each other. The fights continued, and slowly members of each team were defeated. Gotenks confronts Jiren, and both Gohan and Vegeta are forced to defend him. Though they managed to get a few shots in, they'd stand no chance against him. They simply retreat, along with Gotenks. A rematch between Gohan and Hit happens, where the two push each other to their very limit. Hit wasn't going to fall as easily as before, but Gohan had advanced his techniques even further, and he was was able to knock down Hit. Despo confronted Gotenks, and the kids used everything in their arsenal to fight him. Without having actual swords to use, they were forced to instead use key swords, similar to the ones that Goku Black used. They held their own for a little bit, but Despo's speed was too much for them. They were at the very edge of the ring, and Despo was coming in with one final attack. But when his fist was going to make contact with Gotenks, they defused. Goten and Trunks stuck their feet out, making Despo trip in between them and kicking him in the back of the head, out of bounds, just as both of them were teleported away, disqualified. Trunks and Vegeta used their forces together to defeat Toppo. His incredible power was throwing them around like ragdolls, but a father-son Gallic gun from either side fried Toppo. In the end, Trunks rushed in, throwing him up in the air and firing a blast. The Heat Dome attack. Toppo was knocked down. Trunks also battled Kaba, who was very surprised to see the son of Vegeta. He was excited to see how strong he has gotten. Trunks ended up respecting Kaba quite a bit, and definitely had his blessing to train under Vegeta, if Vegeta ever actually wanted to do that. In the end, Kaba saved Kale from being knocked down, but he got knocked down in her place. 17 and Trunks both teamed up, running up Anilasa's arm to kick him in the face, but he was so big that he wouldn't fall down. The two of them were forced to punch him down, being knocked out of bounds alone with Anilasa. Similarly to the manga, Gohan battled Kefla. He enjoyed fighting with her, and they proved to be a real challenge, but they didn't stand a chance once Gohan transformed into his ultimate blue state. Gohan managed to defeat them both, knocking them out of the ring, while their Potara broke. Gohan, Vegeta, and Broly were the only ones left for Universe 7, facing off against Jiren. Gohan and Vegeta tried their best, and even this newly discovered blue evolution was nothing against him. Gohan tried to remember everything in his book. He had been practicing, trying to learn what Whis had told him about a special technique known to the gods. One about his body moving on its own, but nothing. And though he seemingly tapped into that technique a few times, his hair sparkling silver for just a split second, he couldn't maintain it. Jiren threw both Vegeta and Gohan out of the ring. Broly was able to catch Vegeta's foot, keeping him from falling down, but it was too late for Gohan. Broly tried to reach out, but Gohan looked at Broly with a smile, winking at him as he was teleported away. Vegeta was quite hurt. He probably wouldn't be able to defeat Jiren, but Broly, he could. Vegeta yelled at Broly to listen, and remember what Gohan taught him. Remember that he has friends now, a whole lot of them, and that his father is waiting for him back on Earth. This is now his power to control. Broly smirked and pushed himself towards Jiren. He anticipated Broly's attack, blocking in front of him. What he didn't expect was Vegeta coming up right behind him and slamming his palm against Jiren's back, pushing him forward and leaving him open for an attack. Vegeta rolled away as Broly's chest came in contact with Jiren and exploded, sending Jiren hurling out. The gray alien tried to stop himself, but Broly was right on his tail, grabbing his leg and throwing him down. Broly fell along with him, and thus, the winner was Vegeta, wishing for every universe that was destroyed to be restored. Following the events of the Tournament of Power, Trunks and Mai returned to their universe, ready to start rebuilding. Beerus warned them to never return again, otherwise there will be a lot of consequences for the time travel. It was a fateful goodbye between all of them, particularly between Trunks, Gohan, and Broly. He had spent a lot of time with them, and really got to appreciate them both. He told Broly to make sure to keep up his training, and to continue to try to control it. Broly promised to. However, not all was well, as the next adventure would begin. One day, while training between Vegeta, Gohan, and Broly, they felt a strange presence come down to Earth. It was the Galactic Patrol, and they had been looking for Majin Buu. However, they were told by Gohan that he was defeated a long time ago. To their surprise, Kaioshin arrived, explaining that he knows why they need Buu, and that the Grand Supreme Kai passed along with them. However, the great hero of Earth, Gohan, would be able to help. Gohan didn't like being volunteered without his consent, but he knew that if the universe was at stake, he'd be willing to help. Before leaving, he asked Mr. Satan how the book publishing was going, and he said that things were almost ready to ship out, and that he hoped that he'd be back for the book signing. Gohan smirked and promised to. Before departing, Kaioshin took Gohan aside, telling him that he was very proud of the man he'd become, and that after such a long time training together, he knew he was ready for anything. So, he presented something to Gohan, the Potara. Kaioshin smirked at Gohan, telling him that he was an honorary Kaioshin at this point, and this would help them if in trouble. Gohan smiled and hugged Kaioshin before he teleported away. As it turns out, Moro, an extremely powerful Galactic Patrol prisoner, had escaped, he was headed to Namek. Broly was excited to see another planet, as well as travel the universe a bit more, while Vegeta couldn't really care less, he just wanted to get this over with. Paragus, who had gone with them along with Broly, is suspicious about this whole situation. In fact, he's actually kind of upset that the Galactic Patrol never did anything against Frieza while he was ruling over planet Vegeta. He stood silently in the back, but focused in on Vegeta, clenching his fist. Finally, the team arrived at Namek, where Moro attacked, absorbing the energy of the whole world, and killing Murray in the process. Moro stands as the greatest threat to the universe, but as the heroes arrive, Gohan notices that Paragus is gone. He wonders where he is. Mira says that perhaps he stayed in the ship. It didn't really matter, they would find him eventually. But as the ship zooms across the Namek sky, it's shot down. Gohan, Vegeta, and Broly save everyone from the fall, but they're surprised to see just what happened. It wasn't Moro that shut them down, it was Paragus, who was now standing next to the goat monster. Moro put a hand on Paragus' shoulder, thankful to now have him as an ally, and dumping some of his power onto him. Vegeta asked why this was happening, and Paragus said that this was finally his chance to get revenge for being cast away with Broly. Paragus tells Broly to join him, but the Saiyan stands in place. It didn't matter anyways. Paragus and Moro pointed their arms out, shooting Ki Blast at the three. They dodge out of the way, and Vegeta goes in for an attack. However, he's intercepted as Broly stands in the way. He won't allow them to hurt his father. They don't have time for this. They try to reason with Broly, but nothing is getting through to him. The fight commences, but Broly doesn't really stand a chance against two Saiyans. At least, not in his current state. Moro realized this, but also noticed that Broly's mind was weak, and that with a little bit of a push, he could break him. So, he moved his hand, using his magic to whisper thoughts into his mind. Broly enters into his berserk state instantly, and slowly planet Namek begins to crumble around them. Paragus is afraid, and he presses the button, electrocuting Broly and bringing him down, but Moro yells at him, telling him that he almost had him. What Paragus was unaware of was that Moro was taking Broly's power. This one Saiyan had more power than a dozen planets, and it was the most delicious meal he had had in many years. So Moro stops Paragus, killing him. As Broly watches this, he explodes in rage. Now fighting on a doomed planet, continues to take more and more energy. But even with that happening, Broly's still able to beat down on the Saiyans. Vegeta gets thrown down, while Gohan is being pummeled. Gohan tries to remember everything he's ever written, every lesson he ever learned. He thinks of his many masters, Piccolo, Goku, Kaioshin, Whis, and in his mind, he remembers his book, pages flipping open onto one of the final notes he wrote down, one that wasn't going to make it into publishing, one that he'd written for himself. The title read, Ultra Instinct. And with that, Gohan's eyes sparkled, his hair turning from blue onto a silvery color. And as Broly went to punch in one more time, Gohan was able to grab onto the arm and throw him down. Gohan continued to dodge a barrage of kicks and attacks from Broly, completely void of thoughts. The only one that came to his head was stopping Broly. After one of the dodges, he pointed his gauntlet at Broly, firing the liquid he made off of Dabura's spit. This petrified Broly's arm, then his other arm, then his legs. Broly was brought down to the ground. The stone wouldn't last very long, and Broly continued to fire Ki Blast through his mouth. But Gohan walked right through the blast, putting his hands on Broly's shoulders and simply opening his eyes. The two looked at each other. Broly was about to break through the stone. Gohan told Broly to calm down, that Earth was in danger. This seemed to strike a nerve with Broly. He told Broly to remember everything they had trained for. Remember that Gohan understood what he was going through. This power, it felt uncontrollable, but it wasn't. Remember Kale and how she struggled to maintain control as well. Broly began to understand. For a second, it seemed like Broly was about to explode again, and without much of a choice, Gohan punched Broly in the face, knocking him out, before he would struggle with his power one more time. Vegeta was just happy that this was over with, but he watched as Moro left the atmosphere. They needed to do something quickly. Mears managed to shoot down Moro, but Moro was already one step ahead of him, having wished for the Galactic Patrol prisoners to be freed. It was chaos all over the Galactic Patrol, and on Namek, ships full of villains began to appear. Gohan and Vegeta were extremely hurt. They weren't sure if they would be able to stand up for very long. The battle against Broly took a lot out of them, and now Moro, who was younger thanks to absorbing Broly's power, stood in front of them, ready to continue the fight. And so it began. Mira said that he'd take care of the prisoners, while Vegeta and Gohan take care of Moro. Though the small villains were easily defeated, Moro was a completely different story. He was way too powerful for any of the Saiyans, and he was going to destroy the planet. Quickly, the team got on a galactic patrol ship, heading towards the headquarters, while Moro finished absorbing the rest of the planet, getting ready to depart towards Earth. After seeing Ultra Instinct Gohan, Miras thought that it would be a good idea to maybe train him. However, Gohan wasn't the most interested in Ultra Instinct. The way he saw it, his line of training should be the Kaioshin. It should be through his potential unleashed, his ultimate state, not the angels. He also whispered to Miras saying that if Beerus was ever willing to, he thought Vegeta would be good in the path of the God of Destruction, and if his father was around, perhaps he would be the angel. But despite all of his complaints, this may be an important factor in defeating Moro. So he entered a different room of spirit and time along with Miras. In the meantime, the Kaioshin actually approached Broly. He helped Gohan take care of his power, and he thought that perhaps, though Broly was getting there, he just needed a little bit more help. And Vegeta, after seeing Gohan's Kai, the god's version of the instant teleportation, he was tired of Gohan and Kakarot. And he remembered then, Kakarot also had a form of teleportation before he passed. From Planet Yardrat, he would head there. And so, the three Saiyans began their training, apart, yet with a single goal: defeating Moro. Meanwhile, on Earth, the prisoners attacked. The Z-Fighters spread out to defeat them. Gotenks in particular got to show off quite a bit, and even when the fusion ended, Goten and Trunks were formidable opponents, even showcasing their newly discovered Super Saiyan 2, each with a sword in hand. Even Videl was part of the team. She had gotten even stronger since the Universe 6 tournament, and donned the Great Saiyaman 2 outfit in place of Gohan. Piccolo was with her the whole time, and he was very proud of her. Before beginning the fight, Videl told everyone that Pan and Bra were the ones they were fighting for, the future of the world. This gave everyone a lot of motivation. But once Moro arrived on Earth, Gohan knew it was time to return home. He teleported over to the Kaioshin planet, where Shin smiled at him, along with Broly. The two teleported over to Earth, where they watched Gotenks, with a sword in hand, fighting against 7-3. But as he rushed in to seemingly finish the job, 7-3 grabbed him by the face and absorbed his power, throwing him away as he defused. 7-3 grabbed the sword and spun it around. Now he could use the same techniques the kids knew. 17, 18, Goten and Trunks told Gohan and Broly that they would take care of 7-3. Broly and Gohan should take care of Moro and his powered-up ally. Broly and Gohan were too much for the escaped prisoner, but Moro was another story. At one point during the fight, Moro realizes 7-3 is done for, so he rushes towards him and absorbs his power. Now he has the ability to absorb the powers of anyone there, and he chooses Broly. Caught by surprise, Broly is brought up against the mountain. With his powers being absorbed, Moro became bulkier, angrier, and his eyes went blank. Now he was the most powerful being on Earth. Gohan had no idea what he could do. Not long after, however, Vegeta arrives with his newly learned techniques from Planet Yardrat. He seizes the opportunity to take the power away from Moro, slowly spirit fissioning out whatever power he had stolen. But Moro, with Broly's power, was slowly going crazy, and the Earth wouldn't last for very long. He launched a ginormous key sphere. Vegeta and Gohan had no choice but to teleport to everyone else and take them to the lookout for them to be safe. Once they returned, there was nothing but lava around them. Vegeta yelled back at Gohan to go get at least some senzu beans. Vegeta would try to distract Moro. Gohan and Broly teleported back, thanking Master Korin for a few senzu beans. They went back up, but as Broly was getting ready to return, Gohan stopped him, telling him that he has a plan. Meanwhile, Vegeta's blue evolution tried its best against Moro, dodging the various attacks. That's all he could do for now, each time getting a little closer to taking a bit of his power away. Gohan threw a Potara earring at Broly and smirked, telling him that this will combine their powers for a short period of time. This is the technique of the Kais. All of the Z-Fighters watched in awe as a new power was born: Gohan, Broly. They declared themselves as a new being altogether, Brohan. Before leaving, Videl stops the fusion, clicking open a capsule, and out of it, the Z-Zord. She threw it over to the new fusion, who smiled at her and promised to return soon. Brohan spun the sword and looked at it. It was like meeting an old friend. He shot a thumbs up and teleported back into the battle. Vegeta was at the brink of death, being choked, while at the same time taking the energy of Moro. Once he saw Brohan appear, Vegeta lifted his arm up and pointed it at him, whatever energy he had collected, shooting back towards the fusion. Moro threw Vegeta to the side, where Brohan gave him a senzu beam. The fusion told Vegeta to watch his back, and to keep taking the energy whatever chance he had. Vegeta told Brohan that they just needed to keep him close to him. The fusion zoomed towards Moro at such speed that the monster couldn't keep up. Moro dodged out of the way of the sea sword, but he recognized it. That was the blade that was once used against him too. The fusion hit the monster with the butt of the sword, just to slice up, cutting one of his horns in half. This simply made Moro upset, but it gave Vegeta the chance to take away a little bit more of his power. Moro seemed to get bulkier as he blasted away through his mouth, but Brohan could do the same, and the mouth beams clashed, exploding, lifting the lava up around them. Moro rushed up to the sky to create a giant key sphere. Miras and Jaco watched from not too far away, standing in their spaceship. Miras had arrived thinking they would need help, but maybe this wasn't the case. When Moro threw down the key sphere, Brohan caught it, but he was being pushed back. This was quite a bit of power. Vegeta helped, and eventually Miras too. Moro thought he had won, but this wasn't the case, as the key ball went right back up and consumed him. It dissipated through the atmosphere, while Moro fell to the ground. Vegeta continued to take the last bit of energy that Moro had. Brohan smirked, turning around to walk away, sword in hand. But Moro wasn't done, and he rushed in right behind him. Brohan simply lifted his sword up, backwards, stabbing Moro through the chest. The sea sword was glowing a red color. Moro asked, "How?" And Brohan explained. Gohan, Trunks, and Goten had been developing a version of martial arts sword fighting that combined ki with the sword, but in this case, he combined God Ki with it, as Moro disappeared, fading out of existence. Kaioshin, Kibito, Beerus, and Whis arrived, and stood proudly in front of Brohan, who smiled and patted Vegeta on the back. The fusion undid itself, and it was time to return home. Gohan had had many adventures through the years, and all because he wanted to learn more about the universe, about martial arts, and about the incredible people that practice it. And though he was forced to fight a lot more than he wanted, he wouldn't have had it any other way. The book was released to enormous success, and soon martial artists were practicing all over the world. Goten and Trunks eventually started their own sword fighting schools. Krillin and Tien took on the mantle from Master Roshi to teach a whole new generation, and Vegeta continued to train each day for the next time he met Kakarot. Pan made her parents very proud as she began teaching martial arts through a televised online system. And finally, for Gohan and Videl, we find them 10 years later at the 10th anniversary of the martial arts book that changed the world. Groundbreaking science, key control. Gohan pushed his glasses up as he continued signing the books, not even looking up at this point. He had signed at least 100, and Videl told him to take it easy, bringing back a few more books for him to sign. But as the next customer stepped up, Gohan asked who this was for, and a familiar voice responded.
"You're really something, Gohan. I'm so proud of you."
Gohan looked surprised, his heart skipping a beat. He looked up and saw a bright halo and an even brighter smile. His father, fulfilling the promise of checking out the book his son was writing.
"So, have I gotten stronger?"
And that's where we leave off this story. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. And of course, be sure to leave a like. It lets me know that you guys like what ifs like this. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking the bell icon to get notified when I upload new videos and what if stories like this. Anyways, until we meet again. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to SmugStick, unless you want to be destroyed. Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.